to share with you something that we shared with this one not too long ago. And I apologize, the ancient one, as you call them, will not be here for this session. I want to share with you what happens when you make your transition. The thing to keep in mind is that the mind creates all of this. Not only does it create the world that you are in now, but it creates the world that you aspire to be in afterwards. You create your environment. Sometimes it takes a moment to acclimatize yourself to your new conditions. But once you realize those conditions, once you realize what has happened, and for some, this can take quite a while. But when you realize what has happened, then you are able to create your reality. The reality you create is going to be based on your expectations. We shared with this one the purpose of near-death experiences. These experiences help you because they build up your expectations. You expect to find your family when you make your crossing. And because you expect to find your family, your mind will create them. Oh, they will be there, but they may not be there in the capacity that you expect. After all, when you make your transition and you create your idealized world, some of those who people that reality are still in this one. So you create an echo, and that echo comes from within, from your mind. I will try not to speak in riddles, as the ancient one, as you have chosen to call him, speaks. I will do my best to speak plainly with you. Many of those who have made their journey and who made the crossing, and they create these idealized realities for themselves, they become trapped in them. They become stuck in them. This one gets visitations from many. Some are the ones that this one recognizes. Others are ones that this one does not know. And in a recent visitation, this one experienced an idealized creation that could not possibly have taken place because it did not occur in this reality. So it caused this one to ask questions. And in so doing, we provided the answers. We provided the same answer that we have provided for you. You create with this mind, this imagination. And it's only after the passage that you come to realize just how powerful you are. And even then, you only discover a very little amount. You are powerful beings now. You create your reality. The reality you experience is a product of your creation. And when two of you come together, or a group of you come together, as you have this time, you share each other's reality. However, when you walk away from this gathering, you will remember them differently from how they remember themselves. because it is your imagination, your visualization, I believe is the term that is popular now, your visualization that creates all of this, that allows you to see this right now happen again. Does this make sense to all of you?
It does, but it's kind of disappointing.
In what fashion?
I always thought, I guess I was hoping, that this is the dream world I'm in now, that I was kind of then be in reality once I passed over, once I transitioned, being my passage.
And it will be.
Because I think it will be. Because I imagine it will be.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just...
Very good.
I'll keep imagining that.
Very good. One of the teachings that we try to impress upon all of you is that what you can do after your passage, you can do here as well. You want to aspire to the higher realms, you can do that while you are here in this realm. Now, there are dimensions, and by dimensions, we do not mean that this is the physical dimension, and that is the spirit dimension. We are not referring to that as dimensions. You have realms here, realms there, and you have other realms that encompass. The dimensions are the varying degrees. And when you travel through dimensions here, you travel from that point when you were ignorant to that point to where you are experimenting, to that point to where you come to realize that some of your experiments brought pain to others, and then you set about to correct that, and then you set about to do something that extends that. These are the different dimensions of your life here. So when we speak, I should not say when we speak, because we are all different on the other side as you are here. We think differently from each other. We perceive differently from each other. Therefore, the words that we use, the mannerisms will be different. Does that make sense for you? Very good. So, do you understand that the kindness will elevate you, but when you begin to merge, when you begin to add to that kindness actions, and when you begin to add with those actions emotion, and when you begin to add to that emotion, I believe the term you use is authenticity. You have moved through different dimensions, same dimensions you will move through in the other realm. Where you are at here in your progression, your growth, is where you will be at after the passage. Those people who took pride in bringing harm to others or enriching themselves at the expense of others, they shall journey into a similar reality, because that is the reality they are accustomed to. Do you understand?
Yes.
This is why we stress, and why this one stresses so much about kindness. Because even when you do not understand, the kindness will help to maintain where you are at. your foundation could be kindness. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Good. Are there any questions that you might have? And if you do not have any questions, I will not be offended. But I may ask you questions to ensure that you understand. This one has set up a very good platform to work from.
I have a question.
Yeah. Well, this one first.
Why did you choose us, this group? Why did you choose this medium?
We chose this medium because we have been working with this medium for quite a while. This medium asks questions, and this medium does not trust the answers that are received until these answers can be verified elsewhere. This is the scientific approach, and this is best, particularly for this medium. We chose this group because this medium has prepared this group for such an event. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. In continuing with our lesson, the purpose of the near-death experiences is to assist you in your acclimatization from the passage. When you make your passage, things might seem strange, unusual, because we don't recognize the reality that we have created while in this particular realm. And when we make our journey into the other realm, we carry all of this. We do not carry the infirmities of the body, but we carry everything in the mind. And your mind is a very big suitcase. So when they get there, if they have exposed themselves to an experience similar to a near-death experience, or they have availed themselves of the many teachings regarding them, and we are not referring to reincarnation. Reincarnation is an entirely different topic. What we are referring to is the fact that we create our reality. You will recreate a similar reality that you are accustomed to here before your passage. Once you make your passage, you will carry the remnants of this reality that you have created with you. And once you recognize that the reality you have created is of your own creation, you have opened the way to move beyond it. Does this make sense for you? Do you understand?
Could you say that again?
Which part?
Once we realize we have created a creation.
You've created your reality. When you
reality.
come to the realization, let me explain it in a different fashion. While in this reality, we experience problems. We experience circumstances that bring pain, suffering, joy, excitement. But if we were to step outside of those events and we could watch the chain of events that led up to it, then you would recognize your role in creating that experience, whether that experience you created was joy, suffering, misery, or something in between. Are you with it so far?
Yes.
When you make your passage to the other realm, you still continue to create events. You create events that are suitable to your level of expectation. If you're in this realm and you say that the world is troublesome, when you make your passage, you will continue to say the world is troublesome until you realize that the world is troublesome because that is what you choose it to be. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
When you come to that realization, then you're able to recreate your reality. You create a different set of circumstances. However, if, as is described in many of the writings from our earlier teachers, our earlier brothers, then, as they put it, you will begin at the bottom, in a dark reality. They call it dark reality because it is a reality of ignorance. It does not mean that it is literally dark. The same here as it is after your passage. You have to correct all of those instances, in a manner of speaking, of when you created pain or harm for another. You have to, I believe the word is, reconcile them. You still have to do that. But once you do that, you create events that allow you create opportunities, I believe is the term that he uses. You create opportunities for you to correct those events. And as you develop a new habit through the correction of those events, those circumstances that you have experienced, you have developed a new habit. And that habit will be kindness, will be respect, will be nurturing. And once all those past events have been reconciled, then you begin to create new events. And the new events that you create will be vastly different from the ones you created through ignorance. Do you understand? Are there any more questions? Then we will close this session, as this one is now in need of rest. We thank you for calling upon us, and we look forward to serving you once more. And since I do not want to be called the ancient one, you may call me Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
are much welcome. Cool, right on time. Sandy, would you like to share some thoughts?
Sure, I took a lot of notes. I have to do that so I can try to remember everything. Um, very, but wow, very informative, on a subject that I guess I really hadn't thought a lot about. Um, but makes such sense because, we all have our own perception of what the afterlife looks like. And a lot of that has been, fostered by traditional religion, Um, you know, Beth said about being a little disappointed about that. A little disappointed about what the expectation is, but I can understand this. It was very interesting. I really liked it.
Oh, right. Janice, would you like to share anything?
That's good. I hadn't really thought about, what you do when you get there.
Well, I had a dream. And in this dream, it was the first person I was married. But the first dream I had about her, and by the way, this person made their transition in October. So the first dream I had with this particular person, everything was pretty much the way it was before. And recently, I had a dream about this person, and they were very different. They were in a reality that was idealized. The children were healthy, they were happy, everybody was happy, and I began to question that because I also had dreams with Reverend Vardaman. And when Reverend Vardaman appears in the dreams now, she has the red hair. But beforehand, she had the white hair. And her personality was the same, up to her shenanigans and such, and everything. But the last few dreams I had that she was a part of, she was not like that. She was very helpful. She was, well, I can tell you what she was not. She was not troublesome. She was not combative. She was willing to listen.
She's been going to her classes.
And when she made these changes, this is I asked questions about this. In fact, the responses, this is part of the responses that I received. The near-death experiences others have experienced is orchestrated by us. This provides you with a level of expectation and a consensus. This is important when you arrive. Familiarity assists in the acclimatization of your new environment. Your mind is constantly creating through what you call the imagination. When you depart this world, your mind continues to create through the imagination according to your belief and expectations. And it made sense. And Connie, what are your thoughts about this event?
It kind of confirmed what I've always believed, which would be you make your own hell. Your hell loop is you reliving your guilt over and over and over. Where on the opposite, your heaven or ascension or whatever you want to call it is the same thing. It's your positives. What did you do good, and can you do more good, etc.
Good. That's what the myth with Osiris, who judged Anubis, would take the initiate or the person who had passed, would take them before Osiris, and they would weigh their heart, the person's heart, against an ostrich feather. And it was based on the deeds that they did when they were alive, whether they were able to continue with their journey or if they were, So, what are your thoughts, Sharon?
It makes a lot of sense to me because you hear every religion always preaches their own view of the afterlife. this one says this is going to happen, and this one says this is going to happen, and
Yeah.
this one says this is going to happen. The imagination plays, to me now, kind of plays a big role in what that is. And it is a tiny bit disappointing because I guess, like, we all like to think that we're just going to go and our eyes are going to be opened and the oh my goodness, it's just like
some
they
people preach that too.
It's exactly just like they said it was going to
Yeah.
be.
And it's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know, and this and that and the other, and I'm not saying that maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't happen. I don't know, but it does make a lot of sense. It does make, especially because of other religions and saying that you know their experience of passing is very much related to their own religious teachings. So
Oh yeah, purgatory.
sure,
The 7 gates and Dante's Inferno and oh my
that's
god.
right, that's right.
The 7 gates are a carryover from the pagan teachings.
Oh yeah. Well, of course.
If you ever get the opportunity, look up the descent of Ishtar.
Okay.
The thing to keep in mind with this idea of going through the 7 gates of hell, okay, it's the 7 gates of descension. And when you hit rock bottom, you have no balance. You're not standing up on your feet. You have no respect for yourself. You have no regard for yourself. You have nothing. You're bare. And then when you hit that, you go back through those same 7 gates. And with those 7 gates, you gain your respectability, your sense of self-worth, your ability to assist others. They focus on the downward journey because it's a good selling point. But they don't talk about the upward journey. Because everything that you lost on the way down, you regain on the way up and more. So, I don't know if I asked you, Beth, what are your thoughts?
Well, hey, I'll cope with it. This means that I can, if I want to fly around the universe, I can fly around the universe because that's my reality. If I want to be debriefed, then that's what I will experience. Now, see what you did there? This was led you to A, B, C, down, 20 years later, I'll get it. If I want to go to the halls of learning, and learn, that's what I'm going to do. So it's fine. I just really want to zip around the universe.
Now,
At least for a little while.
now, I've just been told that when you make your transition, the subconscious is no longer an underlying consciousness. I don't know what role that plays. Maybe they'll share that in another lesson. But they say that the subconscious is no longer an underlying consciousness.
I was when you said about zipping around the universe, I immediately thought of my brother because he was very much into the whole sci-fi, Star Trek and all of that. And when I saw him after he passed, he was sitting outside of his apartment window, not on anything. He was just sitting there, and he was looking forward in the sky. It was dark with the stars and the heavens and all of that. And he turned around and looked at me, and the look on his face was like a kid. Like, look what I have. And so it made so much sense to me that now, having said that, if that was his reality, if that was what he wanted his reality to be, it makes so totally much sense, because that would be exactly what he would have
person passed on a message like, I can go to the ballpark every day. He was so happy he goes and watches ball games here on Earth every day. Every day they're playing.
Yes.
Every day is the boys of summer.
Yeah, and the another lady. There was a book I was reading called "Making Choices" or something like psychic. It's choices, and it also concurs with the fact that these people, they tend to stay. They go and then they stay with something familiar. Their whole idea, if they love sitting in their favorite chair, and that's where they're the most comfortable, that's where they're going to be until they are ready to move on. And so that's a really interesting book too. About and everybody that she talked to, every single one this medium spoke with had, they kind of did their own thing. So it just it makes a lot of sense.
Good. Well, I want to thank all of you for your participation in this, for your comments and everything. I want to thank the soul that worked through me.
Oh, it was really interesting because I was thinking I had one last question, but he was wrapping up with you because you had enough, and very thought was, what were you called when you were here on Earth? And he just said, oh, by the way, just call me Joseph.
Okay, that's unusual. Usually the people that hang out with me don't give names.
Well, we can call him Joseph.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you all again.